Double five. Like our promise also, it's like I'm just like
no, I want a picture of you in there too. It would be cute. I'll just go to the magazine. They choose which ones they use.
Did anybody throw the fence that you fished yesterday?
that always happens.
I'm gonna say that's a no. At least not your age group. Did somebody dress like you, Mr. Bunny, and join the fence during recess? Do the kindergartners and first graders have a different recess than you do?
So I'm
You know what I say about that, you better believe all that stuff. But tooth fairy game, okay? Tooth fairy game, because you can't be fake. Stuff dries up.
Many conversations about the board work.
Oh my gosh.
it'll be 8 years ago. You're two friends, right? No, we've never met.
Hello, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Tina Stillwell, and I'm a sustainer in the league. I was inactive in the 1980s, and I've tried to, in 90s, and I've tried to stay involved. This year I'm on the 60th anniversary committee, and Michelle Vespa and I are co-chairing the marketing subcommittee of that. So this is the 60th anniversary event, and I'm so glad that all of you are here. I wanted to go ahead and start and let each of you introduce yourself and then tell us how long you've been in the league and what your position is in the league. So I'll just start over here.
I'm Clarissa Young. I'm on the 60th anniversary committee this year too, and I don't remember how many years I've been in the league. I think maybe six. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Becca Murda, and I'm also on the 60th committee, and I think this is my 4th year.
I'm Lane Schultz, and this is Desi, and I am a provisional member guide, and I think it's my 5th year total. Does anybody know? Is anybody well, is it 5th?
3rd active. Where are you at?
So 4th year.
It seems like it's been fun.
So 4th year total. Okay.
I'm Ashley Silva. I'm on the Project Review and Development Committee, and this is my first active year.
Hi, I'm Emily Dunn. I am Membership Manager, and this is my 6th active year.
I'm Stephanie Hesser, and this is my 8th active year, and I am the Finance Manager.
Casey Chasteen, this is my 9th active year, and I am the Management Director.
Rachel Furman, this is my 5th active year, and I'm the Management Director-elect.
Brandy Delville, this is my 5th active year, and I'm Management-elect of Community Impact. Think about what my name is.
I'm Nikki Colden, and I think this is my 10th active year. I've been 6, I'm really sorry. I am President-elect.
I'm Tammy Dixon, President, and this is my 14th active year.
I'm Kate Ressler. I'm a provisional.
I'm Heather Goller. I'm Sustainer Director-elect, and my new member year was 0405.
Yes.
With Tammy was in my new member class, and I'm looking forward to being Sustainer Director.
I'm Susie Turner. I'm a past president of the league, currently serving on the board as a sustainer at large, and I don't remember. Oh, somewhere in that teen years.
I'm Rebecca Barrientos. I am in my 3rd active year. I'm in Plaideville Committee.
I'm Kendra Zickman. This is my 3rd active year, and I'm on the 60th committee.
Hi, I'm Sheila Lindberg. I am Sustainer Director, and I've been in Junior League 17 or 18 years.
I'm Nyla Hayes. I'm serving on the 60th Anniversary Committee, and I've been trying to think, plus 25 years that I've been since my active year. Do you remember, Tina?
25 to 30, maybe?
Maybe closer to 30, yeah.
I'm Ryan Hoos. I'm the assistant chair for nominating and incoming chair for nominating, and I honestly don't know. I usually try to base it off of what somebody else says, but none of them here is getting my so I'm not sure.
Hi, I'm Millie Shookman. This is my 2nd active year, and I am the chair of education and development.
Hi, I'm Michelle Vespa. This is my 2nd active year, and I'm on the 60th anniversary committee.
Erica Gaynor, and I think this is my 3rd active year. Were we in the same new member class? Or no? Were you here? So I think I'm 3rd active year, and I'm on placement.
Elizabeth Bax, and I'm in my provisional year.
Thank you all for coming. And this is a conversation, so if y'all have questions, just jump in. We're real informal, casual, and I think you'll think of some questions along the way. So jump on in if you want to. I'm going to introduce I'm so excited to be here with these 3 founding members. I work with them on the 50th anniversary committee, and they've accomplished a great deal. They've contributed so much to the Community Service League, you know, the predecessor to the league, laid the foundation for the league, and they've contributed so much to Springfield and the area. So I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to start on my, left, but it would be on your right. I'll let you raise your hand. Patty Brooks. Patty Brooks is a past president of the league. She served on Greene County committees focusing on mental health, the St. Louis Symphony Board of Directors, the Missouri Arts Council, and the AKC National Museum of Dog Board of Directors. And I know you raised Scottish Terriers, right? And you were, I believe, championship Scottish Terriers, and you were a judge.
No.
You were a judge, okay. So she raised Scottish Terriers, and Patty encouraged the league to start the Girls Club. She was the first president of the Girls Club board and served on that board for 25 years. Wow. I know, amazing. Next we have in the center, Jan Horton, also a past president of the league. She was the first executive director and later president and CEO of the Community Foundation of the Ozarks. She also worked in the development department at KOZK, where she managed underwriting and directed the annual tele-auction. Jan received an honorary Doctor of Public Affairs degree from Missouri State University in 2009. A lifelong volunteer, she has worked with JLS, the Visiting Nurse Association, the Girls Club of Springfield, and Springfield Little Theater. Her volunteerism emphasizes the arts, environment, and downtown revitalization. And next to me, we have Cynthia Hollander, and Cynthia is a past league secretary, and she's an advocate for the arts in our community. She led the movement for Springfield to create its own production of the Nutcracker Ballet, which it did in 1985. Cynthia received the Ozzie Award from the Springfield Regional Arts Council in 1993 for her contributions to fundraising for the Juanita K. Hemmons Hall for the Performing Arts. In 1997, she was given the Greenwood Outstanding Alumni Award for extraordinary achievements in her personal and professional endeavors. So let's give a warm welcome to our 3 panelists. Okay, Patty, I'm going to start with you. You were the president of the Community Service League from 1961 to 63. You were also vice president, parliamentarian, and a puppet trooper.
Among other things.
Which we may or may not get into. In April of 1959, you were one of 5 women who wanted to start a volunteer service organization in Springfield. Tell us why you saw the need for the Community Service League and the process that you went through to establish it.
Well,
Do you need a-
once
would help to
upon a
have this?
time,
You guys okay with
years
that?
ago,
Okay.
I imagine you can hear me, can't you?
Can you all hear? Okay.
Yeah, I never could whisper in study hall. I got in all kinds of trouble on a regular basis. Back in the dark ages, Ann Wakeman, who was Newt Wakeman's mother, if any of you know Dr. Newt Wakeman or any members of his family, had it in her head that Springfield needed a junior league. Now, I'm not sure if the fact that St. Joe had a junior league and we didn't was part of that. But anyway, Ann Wakeman was trying to figure out how to get a junior league started here, and she tried several things to sort of collect a group of young women that then could go forward, and that never quite worked. When Susie McDonald Tynes moved back to Springfield, she had belonged to the junior league in Dallas, and so Ann contacted Susie, and then they contacted the 3 of us, and a couple of other girls who'd been league members elsewhere whose family situations weren't quite where they needed to be for them to give the time. And Susie and I spent the entire summer sitting on the floor in her house, going through the junior league handbook from Dallas and plagiarizing everything we could. Word for word. Exactly. Because the aim was to get a junior league going in Springfield, because Ann thought we ought to have one, and Susie agreed with her, and we all were young and dumb and said sure. And so there we went, and I think Jan and Cynthia will cover some more things you need to know.
So your aim from the beginning was to be a member of AJLI?
Exactly.
But I do think then, not everyone worked.
No,
So
hardly
we
ever.
had more time. Very only working member, very few people worked, and there was a void. There was a void there that is not there at the present, as far as time.
Yes, we were all college educated. We had degrees. We were reasonably smart and knew how to go about doing things, but we really didn't know as much as we thought. The 3 of us, who were the young babies of the group. And it was wonderful to get to know the older members and to make friends and to see how smoothly they handled things, how gracefully they handled things. And I remember when I was 20 looking at them, or 21, and thinking, oh gee, by the time I get to be 40, I'm gonna be wise like them. It didn't happen. But that was the purpose, was to join the Association of Junior Leagues, and so we started out with that aim, and began doing volunteer work. And Jan, you want to take it from there?
I think so, yes. Well, one of the requirements of being a junior league member, of course, is to be interested in and participate in the volunteer life of the community.
Excuse me, let me interrupt.
Sure.
Cynthia, read that thing out of the first yearbook that Jan has saved all of hers.
This is the first yearbook.
First yearbook.
And
I think it has 7 pages.
it's under history. It said, these women, meaning the 5 of us, realized the benefits that could be Springfield's if a volunteer service organization were formed. This would be an organization of young women of congenial interests and background, dedicated to becoming better citizens by studying and evaluating their community and in learning how to meet the needs of their community. That was correct.
That was the goal. We started right out having that as our goal. And so we collected a group of women that we thought would be interested, and I've forgotten how many we had for that first.
31 charter members.
31 charter members.
Were there that many?
And we had meetings, board meetings at the Springfield Art Museum. And
Membership meetings, there too.
And membership too. Correct me whenever you feel like you need.
Don't worry, dear, I will.
I've known her since she was 5 years old.
She was 7, she's older.
So, we were following, junior league principles and established, guidelines and procedures, and, just got going with a bang, best we could tell.
Well, we got going with a whim.
Well, and we had,
Yeah, but that fruit cake sale,
Well,
that was the
Yeah, you have
first
to-
one.
You all have to talk about the first fundraiser, somebody, please.
oh, it was the mindset of the time, have a fruitcake sale. If you were a woman working in a, working with some sort of volunteer organization, you had a fruitcake sale.
Well, tell them what the organizations were that women could be working with in those days.
To think that all they could be.
SMA.
SMA and church groups were big.
Bonnie Clements.
Bonnie Clements, they had a big whiz bang Christmas gala where you could buy your Christmas presents early.
And the first fundraiser netted $126.
700 hours of labor.
I don't know, we
bought them for.
You didn't make the.
No, we didn't make them, no.
Oh my God.
We were busy volunteers. But I think we got off to a really good start.
Well, yes, because then came the first candlelight charity ball.
Yes,
Which was
we had a bona fide fundraiser, and that raised enough that we could give $2,000 to charity.
Fred Mahaffey was the booklet chairman of the first booklet.
He sold ads.
And Fred had told us all that were on the booklet committee that we had to go out and sell ads for $50 a page. And we were all just shocked. Fred had come from Dallas, and $50 a page didn't sound so much to her. We were, I don't know that I can do that. So Jan and I, holding hands, went to see her father first.
Fathers are always good.
So Lake was very nice and bought an ad from us, so we were very emboldened after that. But the ball was beautiful. Mr. Edwards, whom probably none of you remember, did the flowers. They were all candelabra with the pern cups with the flowers coming out of the top, and down at the Crystal Room at the Kentwood. It was just lovely. Everybody looked beautiful.
And it was the first of its kind.
It was.
It
For
was
sure.
very formal, and everyone took their silver candelabra. At that point, people had them, and everyone took theirs, and he decorated them, so they were very beautiful.
And that is still going on to this day as a fundraiser.
And did you all have an orchestra? I read where you had
Oh, yes, we had
orchestra or
music, yes.
orchestra.
You can't have a ball without music.
Orchestras, I know, that just sounded
But it
beautiful.
was black tie, and everyone did dress for that at that time.
And one year we had not a costume, but a
Mardi Gras.
But everybody, all the women had
Masquerade.
That was the Mardi Gras. Yeah.
masks,
Ah.
had masks, yeah. And that was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to do.
Done.
But the first year we were able to give $2,000 to a charity, and we gave it to the Speech and Hearing
That's
Clinic,
right.
I believe.
Yes,
Which we had. at
That's
that
when
time.
things got really started.
Yeah, that kind of established us.
So by this time, how many members did you have in the community?
Just that same little group.
Same 31?
Same little
Yeah.
group.
Okay.
After we
seven.
evaluated
Okay.
the fruitcakes, we decided we needed to go for something a little bigger. And the charity ball was it. But we did hew to the HALA recommendations and procedures and everything that they did. We emulated the best we could.
How did you find community needs? Did people start coming to you once they
Both
heard?
ways. That we went to them and they went to us. One director of a nonprofit in town said, I hope you women are not going to start lighting fires that someone else has to put out.
Oh, something tells me that did not come from a female voice.
No, it did not.
It came from a male voice, and so we proved him wrong.
Well done.
And in those days, everybody, well, some of us were officers. All of us did a half a day volunteer work all year long. any project, everybody had a committee job on the project. So we were busy.
Yes, we were.
But we weren't working.
No, it that big
Except for
difference.
Jan.
Except for Jan.
And Ann Webster.
So that, I figured at least 123 hours to the junior league.
Wow.
And I'm,
Yeah,
that was what everybody had to
What,
commit, if I
a
read it
year?
correctly. In a year, from
Yeah.
what, September through April, I think it was?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Yes. So you all worked on everything. And that's my sense, everybody worked on charity ball and.
Yes, we did.
We went to Paul Mueller Company and collated the books for the booklet, and put the booklet together,
Punched the holes in here.
put the binders
The
on.
binders.
I reminded them when we got together about this, that one time it was very cold in the Paul Mueller warehouse where we were working with these machines punching holes. And so my father was in the wholesale liquor business, so I went back to the office and got some peppermint schnapps. And passed the bottle around. That'll perk you up.
Right up.
So I have a question on the, like the early charity balls, you had the little booklet that had the ads in it and also talked about your projects. Was that a favor or was it everybody's place?
Everybody got one, it was a calendar.
It was a calendar,
It's a
okay.
calendar booklet, yeah. So
Yeah, I
we go-
saw that, and then during my time, we had, and Nyla will remember this, the newspaper insert. We have a copy of that, and we sold ads also, and then had a double-page spread talking about the league projects and, you know, just a little bit of PR for the league. So it's interesting that you all did that at the very beginning.
I made a personal vow that I would go to every charity ball. And so I got to the point where it was going to be, I was working, you know, a lot of things going on. And it was down at Riverside at that time, which is down in Ozark, for those of you who don't know, remember good old Riverside. And I was working at KLZK, and the tele-auction coincided with the ball for some reason. And so I didn't want to break my record. I was gonna be my 30th year at the charity ball. So I
Wow.
put some sort of fancy garment in the car, and I drove from KLZK down to Ozark, Missouri, and put the dress on in the ladies' room, made an appearance, said hello to some friends, got back out in the car and drove back to the I've been to the ball.
That's dedication, that's dedication.
How much did a ticket to the charity ball cost back then?
Oh, do you have that?
I have that.
It's expensive.
Someplace.
Okay, tickets, the second charity ball were $12.50 a person. I know.
Oh, surely not.
That's what it said.
No, it might have been 150, but.
Do you think? Okay.
Yeah, no,
Wouldn't have been.
Maybe it was like, maybe there's a,
no,
something wrong
yeah,
in there.
they left something out.
Something out, okay.
We were never that cheap.
No doubt, I didn't
After
get
the
that.
hay sale,
125?
Maybe it was 125, yeah. And the decimal was what I had. Cynthia, I was gonna ask you to talk about the puppet theater. I know you were involved in that.
I was involved with the puppet theater. We went to all of the schools, and I can't remember, was it second grade? Probably that we went.
Was it two? Was it
Yeah.
four?
Second or fourth, and we did Charlotte's Web to start with. A traditional, kind of a classic, and we wanted to prove that we had something to say. And it was very well rehearsed. We had people who were theatrical people giving us all kinds of instruction. It was not just a little puppet show. We were rehearsing all summer, and it was very well done.
Well,
And
tell them about our lovely set.
very well received, and we carted that around.
I drove the car that pulled the.
Pull the set.
Oh my goodness.
And we had to set it up at each school.
Well, but describe it to them.
Well, I think you could do a better job.
Well, Charlotte's Web took place in a barn, and so the set was a barn.
The front of a barn.
Yeah, obviously. But what, was it 3 or 4 panels across the front with the little opening where the puppets stuck their heads up and said their lines and snuck back down.
And of course, you had to go. I mean, you couldn't not go because they were depending on your part. And several times I remember leaving children at home sick because I had to appear. No one else knew my part, and, but these children, were probably getting something from us like the children do now in the second grade when they're exposed to little theater, ballet, because they would not have been able to have been to a theater. And there was just a great deal of delight there. And the teachers all appreciated it. It was on a very high level, I will have to say. And from that grew a Reader's Theater, which was a one-on-one. And we were very well rehearsed in that too. And those of us who didn't do so well had to practice a lot. It was all from memory. I remember I did The Reluctant Dragon many, many times, and the children were just mesmerized. You know, they were just, it was well rehearsed and well done. So I think we're proud of what we did.
Oh, I think so.
Very much.
Do any of the puppets still exist?
Do you know,
Yeah, we have them.
They're upstairs.
but
How are they?
Yeah, they're in the
I
archives
don't
room.
think you have Charlotte's Web, do you?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think in the 50th, I was on the 50th committee, and we looked for them. No one had them, and we called everyone, no one had them in their attics or anything. I think you all maybe have some of the later puppets.
Yes, I think so.
Probably true.
But Charlotte's Web, of course, you know, was the spider, the goose, the pig.
And they were very simple puppets with paper mache heads. When we came to the Topo Gigio thing, somebody,
It's not quite right, but I don't remember.
well, that was my puppet was Topo Gigio. I don't remember what the show was all about. But Jerry Clark made those, and they were dolls and really stick puppets, where the first ones were just hand puppets.
There's nothing like that now. But the Little Theaters program has expanded so much, and they've just recently acquired the old McDaniel School building.
Which they are hoping to buy.
Yes, and I was given a tour of it just this week, and it's fabulous and full of kids doing wonderful things. Places they couldn't do them anywhere
I
else.
just think it's wonderful that the arts are exposing every child in the Springfield Public School system to certain things. Because how many of those would never be exposed? And that's, you don't read about that as much as I think we should.
A lot going on, but not enough yet.
Not enough yet.
A million yellow buses were in front of the Pilates studio next
Oh,
to
they were.
the Little Theater Tuesday when we were there.
Probably to see the Little
They were
Mermaid.
to see the Little Mermaid.
Which was wonderful. Did you go?
Yeah.
Did you? How was it?
It was kind of cheesy for my.
Well, my granddaughter is about 6. Do you think she'll like it? I think she will.
My son went on Wednesday, so he's 5 and a half. You're good too.
That sounds good. Wow.
That's good.
You know, one of these ladies mentioned, and I think it's true, the league used to get a lot of publicity for what they were doing, because in those days we had a society page in the Sunday paper, and the front page of the society section was always pictures of somebody doing this or that. And the league had any number of full-page Sunday society page spreads. So we had a lot of publicity for what we were trying to do. Unfortunately, more than you all are getting today, and since we don't have that anymore, I don't know how you go about it. But you do such wonderful things. I mean, talk about planting a little acorn seed, and look what you all have done with it. And the community needs to know how diligent you are, how capable you are, and how much you do. And I wish there was some way you all could get that out in a more forceful and definite kind of a way.
Did you have to pay for the spreads on the society page?
Oh, no.
It was
Yeah.
in their best.
We have
interest.
the, 417 and things like that, but we have to pay for it.
A lot.
A lot.
Well, you know, Tina, the years that we did the newspaper insert, the way that was distributed was through the newspaper. I mean, it was, I don't know whether it was Thursday or Sunday newspaper, but we would put it together and they would distribute through the news leader.
And was there a charge for inserting it?
Not to my knowledge, we charge, of course, for the ads.
I think they did it as a community
But I
service
think
to
it was a
us.
community service to the
Yeah.
league, that the newspaper, I don't remember.
But the media has all changed so much, so.
But you know, one of the requirements when we undertook this wonderful project from AJLA was that we had to start a demonstration project. And our first demonstration project was the Visiting Nurse Association. There was nothing like the Medicare visits and the complicated insurance company programs now. And so the visiting nurse worked at the direction of a doctor, and we paid for her salary and for an office and everything, and the doctors were her guide, and so that got established because of us. Yeah.
And then it was taken over.
And then was taken over, and this demonstration project was to demonstrate to the community the need for that program. And that was the first one we did, and the next one really was the Girls Club, wasn't it? Was it the next project?
I think a couple of others came in there.
They weren't real.
Well, KOZK.
KOZK was big. My sister was the one who wrote to the public broadcasting system and said, "We don't have public television here, why not?" And they said, "You are the largest unserved area in the country, we'd be glad to help you." And so.
So we've done a lot of good.
Oh, enormous.
And that was a demonstration project.
That was a
too.
demonstration
Yeah.
project.
We supplied three things: money, people power, and
Leadership.
Is that involved,
To a
is that
demonstration project.
anywhere in the concept right now?
In terms of
Demonstration project?
projects that are coming up.
Well, you only had to do it to become a member of AJLA.
Yeah.
You didn't have to continue.
But we did continue.
Oh, we did, yeah.
How did you pick
the
your
most-
project?
Pardon?
How did you decide? Did you all just vote together what you wanted to do next, or?
We certainly did.
Much discussion.
Yeah.
Before, during, and after. Yeah, well.
Because everyone was pulling for something else.
Right, answering your question, the most recent that we've done is Isabel's House.
Which is absolutely
Which
astounding.
was, you know,
Absolutely, yes.
driven by women of the Junior League, conceptualized, researched, brought forth, and given birth to be its own 501c3. And, you know, since we have worked on that project and we turned it over for them to fully run, and we are still involved with them because we're still contributing to their endowment, and we have given them a pledge that we will continue to give to their endowment up to the amount of our pledge or up until they reach a certain level of their endowment. So we have that ongoing pledge that part of our fundraising capacity lends toward. But in the same guideline, one of the things that we have done is just as you had that formulating group of the women coming in and growing these women to become leaders in the community, what we found is when we did that with Isabel's House, we were so outwardly facing, we forgot to look in. And so we spent the last few years turning that lens, and instead of being so focused on what we're doing in terms of community impact, we're trying to make sure that we've got everything we need to make our membership healthy, and we're growing the capacity of the women, because just as you said earlier, Cynthia, the women that are coming into the league now are different than the women that were coming into the league when all of you started it. And so we have to recognize that we're coming in at all different levels of life and enormous levels of experience. And how do we meet those women where they are and make sure that they're satisfied and we can take them to another level of their choice? And that's really what we're doing right now. So it's not that we're forgetting that community impact piece, but we need to be healthy inside. And once we have that health established and we know how to refocus that, then we're strong enough to go back out and really push for the new avenues that we need to have for our community.
It just crossed my mind sitting here and listening to you. There's some program on Channel 3 or 10 in the afternoon, and it's advertised as the only local, hometown this or that show. I think Tom Turton's on it.
Ozarks Live.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, it would be nice if one of our members could be on there, like once a month, talking about what the league was doing and just informing the community as to what you've done in the past and what you're doing now and what your aims and goals were right at this time.
Cause we're still out there, we're still involved, and I don't wanna create a picture that we're not doing anything in the community.
No, I
But
know.
we're making sure that we're healthy inside.
Good.
When you have so many people who are so versed now, so many professional
And the thing that we've had to recognize too is we have a lot of competition.
True.
That's true. Some of our own creations are taking away from our volunteer base, and we're having to find a wonderful blend.
You're making them too good.
I think we are.
Yay!
Yay.
That's a great problem to have.
Patty, do you wanna talk about the girls' club?
Okay.
What role the league had in that?
Joanne Dobler and I were teaching a youth employment class down at the WAC. And the girls that were in the class were from ADC families. And the welfare board, yeah. Well, it wasn't a board.
It was a committee.
Committee, well, it was a thing, an entity in itself. Child welfare, the group was the Child Welfare Advisory Committee, but anyway, they came up with the names of the girls, and half the group was white and half the group was black. Well, the white girls would show up, 2 or 3 would straggle in at a time. The black girls all showed up together, or they didn't show up at all, and this was at the Y downtown. So we realized that even the Y was not a place that was comfortable for the black girls in this community to go by themselves. They didn't feel comfortable going in one by ones and twos. They had to go in by 5 or 6 or not at all. So we started looking into that and starting a girls' club. And
We asked the city for some help with.
yes,
what
but
would be-
what's his name? He was Bill Collinson's sidekick. Well, anyway, everybody was pretty much in favor of us doing this, except this juvenile officer who said that a boys' club could keep boys off the street and that was good, but a girls' club couldn't do anything because girls were only sexually promiscuous. But we started the girls' club anyway.
Oh.
I don't know who said that.
Somebody from the city did.
Okay. And so we bought or rented this little house over on Nickel Street, not too far from senior high school. And then Coopers gave us that building on Division. And Ann Webster hired a new director and applied to the Association of Girls Clubs to join that group. And they came and said that we were the first girls' club in the state of Missouri. So we grew from there. We had a wonderful record, I think, while the girls' club was in existence and Genevieve Kenyon was the director. We had only one girls' club girl get pregnant, and she kept her baby and went ahead and finished school. So Genevieve was a wonderful influence on all of us.
It was an after-school program.
Yes. There were a lot of latchkey kids at that time, but not all over town, unfortunately. It was just
primarily in that area.
and people whose mothers were working and maybe didn't have fathers. A lot of really nice little girls. What they needed was a chance, and they hadn't had it.
Well, and the thing I remember was the city of Springfield had done a survey of, I don't know what the name of it was or anything, but they told us that that was the largest underserved area in community services of any area in Springfield.
Oh,
The area where that window was.
Oh.
And so having a girls' club placed there was the most efficacious thing that could have happened, because it brought services to an unserved area.
Well, I knew that.
And we did all kinds of stuff.
We did.
It's fun.
So how did the girls get there? Did they have to walk from their schools, or were they bused?
No, it was within walking distance of Central High School. Like 4, 5,
Yeah.
6 blocks.
I'm walking.
West
there in my
Nichols,
mind. Yep, yep.
600 something West Nichols. So,
And so now they have merged with the boys' club, and it's the boys and girls' club, and that's great too. It's another step forward.
and tell them what we do when we make donations personally.
What do we do?
We make our donations to the girls and boys club.
Boys and Girls Club, and
Oh,
Girls
and
and Boys
write
Club.
the check.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I could see myself dancing into the office or something.
Do you want to talk about like the admission requirements at the time? Do you remember what that was like?
Might be in the book.
Well, we remember what it was like.
Right.
You had to be nominated by, you were chosen to, what would you call it?
Well, you needed a
somebody.
sponsor, yeah.
You needed, you had a
You had to be an
friend that
active
you thought would
member
be good.
to sponsor.
And so you were a sponsor, and then this was the sponsoree. And you had to have 2 seconds, 2 seconds. And so then there was an admissions committee that had to review your worthiness to become a community volunteer. I don't think anyone was ever turned down for being a community volunteer.
Well, from the admissions committee, they were.
Yeah, they
but-
were, people were denied.
It was a secret ballot.
It was a secret ballot.
Secret ballot.
People were
But I
denied.
was separating community worthy from.
And that was.
Yeah, and so, then they would enter their provisional year and go through the provisional requirements.
And you had the Know Your City tour at that time, right?
Yes.
In conjunction with Drury, did I read, with Drury University?
Yes, and we would take a bus tour of Springfield and see all the sites, the historic sites and the sites of all of the,
It was wonderful. I wish
entities
you
that
all
we
would do
held.
it again. We could go.
We'd love to go.
We
We
do
would
it
like to
every
go
year.
Come in September.
Except we
Every
don't
year.
necessarily just see the historic sites of Springfield, now we see everything that Junior League has done.
right.
It is the whole bus tour.
That's a good story. Is Maury Mecklin still directing it? Or MC?
Sometimes, I don't know who,
We asked- we
she's
asked-
done it before.
Yeah, we asked a number of different, sustainers to be on in the transportation, to be able to lead that in dialogue, so.
I'd like to do
We,
Wonderful.
Lila's a new member of the, it falls under new member now, so we'll let her know that you guys be interested in being invited.
Yes, maybe the sustainers themselves.
It's, I find it's a really eye-opening,
That might be a good sustainer activity.
it's a real eye-opener for provisionals, because I can speak for myself. When I came into the junior league, I had no idea of the capacity that the league had and the influence on our community, because we aren't as good at telling the story as we need to be. And it's just, it's when you
And you
hear,
get involved in doing, and
which
this all just
absolutely,
happens, you know.
but it's remarkable what the league has done for Springfield. It's remarkable. You guys did an amazing job with that concept and setting us forth on a great trajectory for what has happened in Springfield.
But I think the involvement is what is so important, because where you've taken it is unbelievable.
What was your biggest challenge during the time that you were in the
Oh
league?
my, I don't think you want to know.
Yes,
She'll win the contest. I was married very young. I was married after my sophomore year in college. And I was married to someone 8 years older. I went to MU, and I came back here to Drury. And this was the year after I was married. I was in jury at this point, that the Junior League was starting, and I became pregnant, and I was in my senior year of college, and in my senior finals. And so I was trying to do formulating the league. They gave me 6 weeks after the baby was born to make up my finals. So I had a 6-week-old baby and trying to study for finals at the same time. So that was my challenge.
Good challenge.
And I said, wow, they were doing all of these other things, but it was, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. It was not the thing to do, but that was my challenge. But I think the challenge probably for me, actually, once this became settled down, I think it was trying to get the time for our weekly obligation, the weekly volunteer. I mean, and you really had to go. It was not, well, if I feel like it, or if I, you know, I mean, you were obligated to go, and it was quite a responsibility. And everyone felt the responsibility because they demanded that.
And agencies counted on it.
And agents,
Counted on it.
but there again, we were not working women, so we had the time. It was just a matter of discipline to get it going, you know. So it was a different era than you all are in now.
I thought that was thunder. I didn't think it on that.
What about you all? Anything different? It's like the time commitment was the most difficult.
Not for me.
Well, and I was a working woman, but my boss was my father. So I got off the hook for the league meeting. And I don't think I ever felt a challenge other than if I had to miss some things that went on because of work. Yeah. They were minor.
Hattie, anything for you that?
No, not really, other than we didn't all always agree. There could be some challenges there.
Right. Well, and you all have made so many contributions to the league through the Community Service League and staying involved. What do you all feel like you gained from membership in the league? Did it make a difference in your life?
Oh, yes, very, very much.
This, the learning of what was going on in our community, and then the seeing, what a revelation, the seeing of all the needs there were and all the ways that we could be helpful was really inspiring.
And then to learn how to attack it.
Yeah.
And make it happen.
And being involved.
Right. And I think that if you're a feminist, as I consider myself to be, you see the possibilities for women that you weren't seeing before. You're seeing how men have used this kind of activity, in some cases, as stepping stones to other things. So I think it was a boost in general for women from that aspect.
Getting yourself out of yourself and thinking of others.
Yep.
What challenges did you guys have in the community, as far as like projects and things like that you were trying to do? Did you have a lot of pushback or?
Not much.
No.
Really? Okay. That's what I
Most
wondered
people
too.
were very grateful for the assistance.
And the projects were good projects, and most of them got turned over in a reasonable period of time. Now, the Girls Club was probably the exception because it was still ours 25 years later, although it wasn't just the leagues at that point. We had a community board, and it had burgeoned out, but the league members were still involved in it, on the board and in the auxiliary.
Were you still financially responsible for it at that point, or was it its own entity and we just helped?
It had its own board, but
It had its own board, but we weren't totally financially responsible for it.
But we get some other form of
A community foundation, maybe, not the community foundation of, what is that thing?
United Way.
Yeah, that's it,
I think
the
you were
United Way, yes, we were.
That was it. We knew a lot of funding sources too, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
What were some of the other fundraisers that you guys did over the years, besides fruitcakes and chicken ball?
The service, the ball was the primarily one.
And selling the advertising.
Yeah, really, that's about all you manage, and it's something that big.
Now we have 5.
Do you have any wishes for us moving forward?
Stay as good as you are. Keep the faith and hold the name high.
And enjoy yourself.
Yes. That's right. And it
Because-
looks to me like this is a very engaged group.
There's lots of fun to be had, even as you work and have to go places and do things sometimes that you're not really crazy about the idea, but it's a wonderful experience, and getting to know other people in the community that you might not get to know otherwise, people that aren't just your age and just in your little clique, but a broader sense of the town, and
I think it makes you feel more a part of the
Yes.
community.
It does.
The more you're involved.
And we didn't light any fires that had to be put out.
No, we didn't. We tended our fires well.
And for me being the first and only working person in the league, to when it turned over was completely amazing. It made a complete flip. It's almost, aren't you largely working women?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it did a big flip for a while. I was pretty lonesome. Just me, imagine.
Well, and after
No,
we
I could go to the meetings.
fulfilled the requirements for Junior League, didn't you say they turned us down the first time, Jen, because we
Yes.
didn't have enough members?
We were supposed to have 50 active members, and we didn't. And then we submitted the request again, and they lost it in their mailroom at Junior League headquarters. It was 6 months before they found it, and we had been negotiating back and forth and trying to figure out to recreate it. It was quite a lengthy application process, and they finally found it in their mailroom.
Oh,
So
my.
then it went pretty smoothly. And we had a wonderful introduction to the Junior League. We had a wonderful woman whose name we can't remember, who was our guide through the, I guess, the acceptance phase.
Well, in the process of getting us acclimated to where the league was in the association and where they were headed at that point.
Yeah. And my sister was president of the league at the time that we were accepted, and she was in New York City, and she had gone over to Junior League headquarters to meet up with a friend she'd made there when they turned the light on for Springfield, Missouri, going into the league. So that was pretty emotional for her.
Wow.
Yeah. Just a happenstance.
So had you heard of the Junior League widely before, you guys thought about bringing it to Springfield, and, before someone was in another league? Was it a very national thing that you already knew about,
Oh,
or?
yes.
Not me, never heard of it.
Yes, it was a very prestigious organization, and we were talking earlier and saying, when did the junior leagues actually come into existence? And I said, well, I don't know, but I know Eleanor Roosevelt was a member of the junior league when she was a young woman in New York. So,
I don't know why 1905.
Yeah, I was thinking 1901.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1901, is that correct?
Well, that's a wonderful heritage, isn't it? Look at this room. I know, bright, shining faces. Congratulations to you all.
Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed,
And all
for
the
sure.
good work I know you're doing.
Did you guys, at the time when you started it, did you ever think it was gonna evolve into something as big as what we have it now?
No.
We have,
Well, we had no
active
idea where the
members.
world would go.
Yeah.
Our world was much smaller than your world.
I think we have, she just said we have 188 active members.
Oh, my
Wonderful.
gosh.
Active. Oh, that's wonderful. That's grand.
I just thought of another fundraiser we had once, and that was the Follies.
Oh, the Follies.
Remember that?
Yes.
Over on Senior High Auditorium.
Yes.
High kickers
And the men all dressed up in ballet costumes.
Yes.
And some group came in from out of town and organized this thing and sold it to us and.
I was in charge of ironing, I remember. Nice job. I was not too excited.
It wasn't our thing though, we didn't stick with it.
No, it isn't, and I think,
Yeah.
I think it was kind of a disappointment. It was not one of the better ones.
I'm not sure.
But they came in and sold the package, you know, and it was going to be something great, and you're going to make this and that, and I'm not sure we did what they said. It really wasn't up to our standards, I don't think.
That's exactly what I couldn't decide how to say that.